Augustine commentary on the first letter of John following. Well, now I have already told you, my beloved brethren, let no man turn toward us. For what are we? Or what are you? What but the church of God, which is known to all? And if it please him, in that church are we, and those of us who by love abide in it. There let us persevere, if we would show the love we have. But then the Apostle Paul, what evil are we to think of him? He not love the brethren? He not have within himself the testimony of his conscience in the sight of God? Paul not have within him that root of charity whence all good fruits proceeded? What madman would say this? Well then, where find we that the apostle asked and did not receive? He said himself, lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, an angel of Satan to buffet me. For which thing I besought the Lord thrice, that he would take it from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for you, for strength is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 7 to 9. Lo, he was not heard in his prayer that the angel of Satan should be taken from him. But wherefore? Because it was not good for him. He was heard then for salvation, when he was not heard according to his wish. Know, my beloved, a great mystery, which we urge upon your consideration on purpose, that it may not slip from you in your temptations. The saints are in all things heard unto salvation. They are always heard in that which respects their eternal salvation. It is this that they desire, because in regard of this their prayers are always heard. But let us distinguish God's different ways of hearing prayer. For we find some not heard for their wish, heard for salvation. And again some we find heard for their wish, not heard for salvation. Mark this difference. Hold fast this example of a man not heard for his wish, but heard for salvation. Here the Apostle Paul, for what is the hearing of prayer unto salvation? God himself showed him. Sufficient for you, said he, is my grace, for strength is perfected in weakness. You have besought, have cried, have thrice cried, the very cry you did raise once for all I heard. I turned not away mine ears from you. I know what I should do. You would have it taken away, the healing thing by which you are burnt. I know the infirmity by which you are burdened. Well then, here is a man who was heard for salvation, while as to his will he was not heard. Where find we persons heard for their will, not heard for salvation? Do we find, think we, some wicked, some impious man, heard of God for his will, not heard for salvation? If I put to you the instance of some man, perchance you will say to me, it is you that call him wicked, for he was righteous. Had he not been righteous, his prayer would not have been heard by God. The instance I am about to allege is of one, of whose iniquity and impiety none can doubt. The devil himself, he asked for Job and received. Have you not here also heard concerning the devil, that he that commits sin is of the devil? Not that the devil created, but that the sinner imitates. Is it not said of him, he stood not in the truth? Is not even he that old serpent who, through the woman, pledged the first man in the drink of poison, who even in the case of Job kept for him his wife, that by her the husband might be not comforted but tempted? The devil asked for a holy man to tempt him, and he received. The apostle asked that the thorn in the flesh might be taken from him, and he received not. But the apostle was more heard than the devil. For the apostle was heard for salvation, though not for his wish. The devil was heard for his wish, but for damnation. For that Job was yielded up to him to be tempted was in order that by his standing the proof the devil should be tormented. But this, my brethren, we find only in the Old Testament books, but also in the Gospel. The demons besought the Lord when he expelled them from the man, that they might be permitted to go into the swine. Should the Lord not have power to tell them not to approach even those creatures? For had it not been his will to permit this, they were not about to rebel against the King of heaven and earth. But with a view to a certain mystery, with a certain ulterior meaning, he let the demons go into the swine to show that the devil has dominion in them that lead the life of swine. Demons then were heard in their request. Was the apostle not heard? Or rather, what is truer, shall we say, the apostle was heard, the demons not heard? Their will was effected, his will was perfected. Agreeably with this, we ought to understand that God, though he give not to our will, does give for our salvation. For suppose the thing you have asked be to your hurt, and the physician knows that it is to your hurt. What then? It is not to be said that the physician does not give ear to you when perhaps you ask for cold water, and if it is good for you, he gives it immediately. If not good, he gives it not. Had he no ears for your request, or rather did he give ear for your will, even when he gainsaid your will? Then let there be in your charity, my brethren, let it be in you, and then set your minds at rest, even when the thing you ask for is not given you, your prayer is granted only, you know it not. Many have been given into their own hands to their own hurt, of whom the apostle said, God gave them up to their own hearts' lusts. Some man has asked for a great sum of money. He has received to his hurt. When he had it not, he had little to fear. No sooner did he come to have it, than he became a prey to the more powerful. Was not that man's request granted to his own hurt, who would needs have that for which he should be sought after by the robber, whereas being poor, none sought after him? Learn to beseech God that you may commit it to the physician to do what he knows best. Do you confess the disease? Let him apply the means of healing. Do you only hold fast charity? For he will needs cut, will needs burn. What if you cry out and are not spared for your crying under the cutting, under the burning and the tribulation? Yet he knows how far the rottenness reaches. You would have him even now take off his hands, and he considers only the deepness of the sore. He knows how far to go. He does not attend to you for your will, but he does attend to you for your healing. Be you sure then, my brethren, that what the apostle said is true. For we know not what we should pray for as we ought, but the Spirit itself makes intercession for us with groanings which can't be uttered. For he makes intercession for the saints. How is it said, the Spirit itself intercedes for the saints, but as meaning the charity which is wrought in you by the Spirit? For therefore, says the same apostle, the charity of God is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Spirit, which is given unto us. Romans chapter 5, verse 5. It is charity that groans, it is charity that prays. Against it, he who gave it can't shut his ears. Set your minds at rest, let charity ask, and the ears of God are there. Not that which you wish is done, but that is done which is advantageous. Therefore, whatever we ask, said he, we shall receive of him. I have already said, if you understand it to mean for salvation, there is no question. If not for salvation, there is a question, and a great one, a question that makes you an accuser of the Apostle Paul. Whatever we ask, we receive of him, because we keep his commandments and do these things that are pleasing in his sight, within where he sees.